remember I was in the car with somebody and John Brown was walking down the street and we fucking terrorized him by saying "Hallelujah, holla back" out the car window when we were driving. Like he was like at the bus stop or some shit, hanging out with a fucking.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sheesh. From TV show to bus stop.
Nah. I mean, I'm the bus, B. Come on, man. We in New York City.
Yeah. Big facts. Public
transportation. There's nothing wrong with public transportation. B.
Nothing wrong with public transportation.
Honestly, I love that story.
Thanks for saving the environment to everybody that rides public transportation.
Shout out public transit. I like to cycle and shit too. I'm one of those dudes.
Word up. I don't cycle.
So let's bring it back to like, okay, so you go through this high school era, you start getting into freestyling and stuff. What I want to know then is, I guess, what happens after high school for you? Like how did...
After high school, I went to college. I went to county college for 2 years. Like, stayed at home, lived with my parents. Went to county college because I got poor grades in high school, so I wasn't able to get accepted. I got accepted to Temple University, which I didn't want to go to. And there was a program at the county college that said that if you got 3.0 or higher, you could get an automatic acceptance to Rutgers University. And Rutgers University in-state tuition is mad low, but it's like at that time it was a really good school. I believe it still is, but like I also don't use my degree. You know what I mean? Like I've gone on to do other things. So after I went to college, open mics, recording songs, stopped freestyling all the time, but stopped just freestyling. Started like writing songs, recording songs. Not really playing.
Well, how do you get into recording? It's always interesting to hear how people get into that.
The reason I got into recording was because it was always a fun thing that we did at parties to freestyle and just have fun, and I was not taking that shit seriously. I wasn't thinking I'm gonna be a rapper, right? Like, but then some dudes who were not as nice as me made a song in a studio in this dude's basement. They put together like the first version of Pro Tools or some shit like that. And even like it was probably the first version of Pro Tools, like a Digi 001 or some shit like that. And I was like, wait a minute, motherfuckers got a studio and they're recording music? Like motherfuckers got a song? Like they're not as nice as I am. You know what I'm saying? And it's no slight against them. They were cool. They did their shit. Like they made a song. That's dope. But it started off me being like, yo, like let's at the next party, I'm battling these motherfuckers. Like fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And instead of doing that, I just was like, fuck that. I'm gonna go make a song too. So I did that shit. And then freestyling was important because that's where you like exercise your skills and come up with a new flow, or maybe even come up with bars that you end up putting in your written shit. But then it changed to writing shit, and then I wrote shit, and then I recorded that. And by the time I was done with college, I was hitting the open mic scene in New Brunswick. I was hitting the open mic scene
in New Brunswick
and in North Jersey. And when I was in open mic in North Jersey at the back room of a bowling alley in Roselle Park, New Jersey, there was an open mic there called Mike Mechanics, and Immortal Technique and Mozzie came in the door, and Immortal Technique and Mozzie performed, and Mozzie had the ill slick but fast, intricate flow, and I was like, me and my boy Mike Galata were like, yo, this shit is lit, he's mad nice. And then Immortal Technique performed Revolutionary Volume 2 before it was fucking released, and was talking about, I'm gonna fly a fucking plane in your house, and I'll, like when he was spitting the Bin Laden, like all of the shit that he got on that first like breakout album that he put out, Revolutionary Volume 2, he came on a promotional run before it was officially released, doing like a little fucking open mic tour circuit. Was, little did I know at that point, somebody who was patronizing EOW, somebody who was in MC challenges, you know what I'm saying? And Mozzie handed me a flyer, and it was for his next show, but on the B side of that flyer was his last show. And he did either an opening or a showcase feature at the MC Challenge of Champions at Knitting Factory that year. And it had just passed. It was the last show he did, and the other side's the next show. And I was like, oh, what's this? And I went online, and I was like, endoftheweek.com, and that shit was challenge history, and it said, Webified, C-Ray's Walls, Jin, the MC, Stretch, Poison Pen, Nems. Some of them names I didn't know, but some of them names I owned their records. Like C. Ray's Walls, I had vinyl from. Poison Pen, I had Poison Pen's record. You know what I mean? Just from buying vinyl because I had turntables and shit. I was, recording raps and I was in.
I think a lot of people who have like a very I would kind of say I don't want to say elite. I want to find another word for it, right? But it's kind of like all the people who I know who have Poison Pen's record are people who tend to have a very intricate pen game themselves, or tend to be very appreciative of great unorthodox styles.
Bro, Penn just dropped some shit the other day that he did on a podcast or some shit, but he recorded the verse, the Archbishop and bigging up Vice and the Church of Vice verses. Y'all gotta see that shit. That shit is lit. I know it's coming out, and I know he just did like a live version on it, but it was on socials the other day, and that shit is crazy. Penn is quiet as kept, unsung, and needs to be, recognized as Poison Pen. His name states, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Not only Poison Pen, like Poison Performer, you know what I'm saying? That motherfucker got swag and style, and, he knows how to body a crowd. Like, so anyway, I saw all these names, including Poison Pen name, on this list, and I was like, yo, word, I gotta go to this open mic. And that's how I went to EO Dub. And that's what, like after high school, that's what it was. I went to college, I continued, motherfuckers do their regular college thing, and at the end of it, I was recording music, and then I found my way to EO Dub, and I traveled the world with EO Dub. And for a very long period of time after that, I was, recording music. I was in a group with Jess James, the homie, EO Dub fam.
Littyyy Bro.
Littyyy Bro.
Littyyy Bro Flacko.
With Damian Burns, who's, you guys know as well.
Awesome.
The world don't know it. Damian Burns is, also was in the group Scarhead.
Also was a backup dancer in Littyyy Bro's video.
And me, him, and Jesse had a group together called Brickface and Stucco. And that was a ill period. And after that,
you're kind of like blitzing through stuff, and I'm sure there's a lot more to your story than I was in a group and we made music.
I think we're part two though, because the timing, for me, I have to be up very early tomorrow morning, as I'm sure Dutch knows. Like, we're producing, Dutch is on one side, I'm on another side. We are producing events for this 5-borough tour, but I believe you're in Brooklyn, and I'm gonna be in Queens, and that is something that's gonna happen inevitably, and I have to be fresh for that because it's a lot of work. But I will say, like, I got a couple more minutes. I definitely don't want to rush through shit. You're right. I was trending towards that, but I don't think that's going to do this justice. But, I think a good place to, like, stop and maybe, like, ask some questions or talk a little bit more would be at the time where I actually, was introduced to EO Dub, because there's so much that's happened after that, including what I started to go into with Brickface and Stucco and Svengali Brothers, and, me stopping rapping and the things that I did after that and what I'm doing now. That's like, that's another conversation, I think. I believe at this point we're at, like, the young self from Patrick Hanos that turned into Vanguard. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was definitely calling myself Vanguard before I got to the Dub, but once I got to the Dub, Vanguard became real, because motherfuckers like Aguilar was like, yo, you nice. You know what I'm saying? Mecca from the Plague. Yo, I came outside the Dub one of the first times I was there, and he was like, and I'm like, I know what that means. Yo, what's up, man? How you doing? You know what I mean? Jay Arch, God rest, came up to me. I Nems had told me, yo, you nasty and shit. And then one day, like maybe the 15th time I went to EO Dub, Jay Arch came up to the both of us and was like, I want the two of you on a song with me. And then ever since then, it's been Fuck Your Life. You know what I mean? And look at it 20 years later, like, you know what I'm saying? Me and Nems are, I'm the co-founder of his brand that is FYL, which is our crew. You know what I'm saying? And that part, there's a lot to talk about there. I don't have, all the time in the world to talk about that tonight because something very important is going to happen for hip hop tomorrow.
Very cool.
Something very important is happening for hip hop tomorrow. Facts, big facts.
I don't know what's happening for tomorrow. Hip hop.
This is New York's. We'll talk about that a little bit, just real light touches. So it's not some like ominous, mysterious thing that we're trying to do and shit. But like New York City is having a 5-borough hip hop concert series, and it's kind of like the first time that the city itself, the government, got behind something this big, and it's like an actual like concert series, and they're doing it.
Chuck Schumer, who's a New York State senator, who's the majority leader, last night announced at the show, like, this is a series of shows that's being produced in New York, and like within this is another thing that comes later as well, is like all of our we've been on stage before, let me translate that to like doing moonlighting gigs to pick up work as event producers and people who put events together, and all of the different levels of things that happen. And right now, everybody that we know that's a rapper that's in New York City is working on this event, which is a 5-borough tour of a concert for the new hip hop museum that's in the Bronx. And they did the Orchard Beach, which was KRS-One, and Littyyy Fresh, and
Orchard Beach is located in the Bronx. So KRS-One being a Bronx rapper, Littyyy Fresh being an Uptown head.
Yeah, Staten Island last night. Tomorrow night's gonna be Brooklyn, and then Friday is Queens. And it's like borough specific shit. Like in Staten Island last night, it was Raekwon and Ghost, and Force MDs. You know what I'm saying? Like
they're all from Staten Island.
Yeah, we're from Staten Island. Tomorrow is like Big Daddy Kane and Mano and Papoose.
Brooklyn.
It's all Brooklyn heads. You know what I mean? So it's really dope. This week is lit for
super dope.
Yeah, this week's lit for hip hop. And
yeah,
I gotta be there very early in the morning because I'm one of the people that are helping to, I didn't plan the event, but I'm gonna be there slinging barricade. I'll tell you that.
I have no idea what slinging barricade means.
We'll be ominous about that. We'll leave that at that.
I'll say this: if you don't know what slinging barricade is, then you don't know what me and Dutch, when he's saying that we have like evolved in our friendship from like acquaintance to like, yeah, we're cool with each other, so like, yeah, we've hung out a couple times, to like, I know Dutch, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know Dutch, me and him worked together for a decade, in the industry where everybody is like a freelancer, and then a part of part 2 is going to be I haven't even mentioned Iron Solomon yet, you know what I mean? That's like one of for a really long period of my life, like my closest friend, and somebody who I own a business with for mad long, and we created so much dope shit together. There's a lot to that story as well.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those things where like for me, like everywhere I go, like I can't like go anywhere to a hip hop thing where like people know me for real without like hearing like, hey, how's Jess? like I'm Jess James's caretaker, you know what I mean? And I think that that's similar kind of relationship that Vanguard and Iron Solomon had for many years, where like somebody would see Iron and I guarantee you that they're gonna ask him about Vanguard. Somebody would see Vanguard and I guarantee you that they're gonna ask him about Iron. You know what I'm saying?
That's a super fact, but a funny part of that is that once Solomon became like Solomon was the first viral battle rapper on YouTube. He was so ill, and everybody wanted him to be on their DVD, and there were so many DVDs with him on it that as soon as YouTube happened in like 2006, all these DVDs came up and all this footage came up. Not even like it's only DVDs. It's like this festival, that festival, people that like filmed him at Brainstorm or at Scribble Jam or, all over the Midwest too, because he went all over the country to do these battles. All of that shit came up on the line at first. So he had all of this real estate. and he got famous, you know, especially in New York. Heads are like, oh, that's that battle rap guy. And he and I, funny enough, where my twin brother and I don't look nothing alike, everybody always thought that me and Solomon were brothers, not only because we looked somewhat alike, but if I was out, people had seen us together so much that they would come up to me and talk to me if I was him. You know, and I'd be like, bro, it's not him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because it got worse over the years. Because he just kept doing bigger and bigger things. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a battle rap, you know, darling, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. One of the best to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Yeah. And so that's why the second half would, you know, there is lots more to uncover and yeah,
totally
absolutely
understood. We'll definitely get to all of that. But yo, thank you for coming and doing this, Vanguard. It's always great to just hear the different people's stories, especially when you come from an era that's not exactly the same as mine and a place that's not exactly like mine. It's like, that's why it's fun. Like, you know, I feel like this.
I knew that coming into this. I really, you know, I'm a fan of the show. I respect, peace, Holden. You know what I'm saying, Dutch? You know what it is already. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, thank you.
You know, yeah. I would say, you know, above all else, rest in peace, vice versa. V's up. EO Dub for life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We got more shit.
And on that note, make sure you like follow EO Dub and like subscribe.
I see on Instagram, EODUB on Instagram. That's the main account. There's many other accounts you can find on your own organically. Those are all associated with EOW from around the world. The website is eodub.com, and we do this thing on Zoom every single Sunday night for the open mic, which is a written platform where people can come spit their songs and their prepared material. And then on Thursday, we have a segment that's called Frio Dub, which you can pull up and freestyle with us instead of spit written material. It's the opposite day, right? That's super fun. Big Zoo and CF host that, two of the best freestylers that are on this.
Word. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have a rotating hosts for the Sunday thing. Both of them, if you're into rap, want to rap, it starts at 9:30. And, you know, that's my little hot ones. Look at this camera, look at that camera, look at this camera. And I'm out. Peace. Vanguard.
Also, he did a cooking show one time. Cooking with Vanguard. I remember watching that.
You gonna bring it back.
Cooking, they call me Veggie Noble. You heard?
That's amazing. But y'all, thank y'all for coming. Sorry?
We'll talk about it next time. You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah.
Yes, we will.
Thank y'all for coming through again, everyone. Make sure y'all have a wonderful night. Live long and prosper, everybody.